Welcome back to Us Against Everything, episode 19, baby.
Cannot believe it. Also, the podcast where every time we think we're done talking about it, because we've done a couple episodes on our other podcast about this, things start to get crazier.
It does. Speaking of crazy, it is storming outside.
Perfect time for this episode.
Absolutely. And today we are definitely talking about Epstein again, because honestly, we could probably make 700 episodes on this and still not cover everything.
No joke, with over the millions of files they have that they haven't even released yet. And also, not to mention, another document usually comes out every year or every couple of years with another victim speaking up.
You are not wrong. Literally, suddenly everyone involved develops amnesia. It's quite fascinating.
Literally.
And we're not going to stop talking about this case ever. I don't care if people get uncomfortable with it, because people should be uncomfortable with it.
Absolutely. Some of the things that we have seen come out in the files, and people are just trying to act like it doesn't exist. And it's how can you read that and then just pretend that you didn't read that?
Exactly. It's trafficking, abuse, corruption, power, manipulation, and a system that protected dangerous, rich people for years.
Years and years. And even put them in government official positions.
Honestly, though, people have been joking about Epstein's publicity stuff forever now. People whisper about him, warned others about him, but because he had moolah and connections, everyone just kind of let it go and let it happen.
Money gives you power, and monsters get to be pardoned or let free. If it was a poor person,
oh yeah, not a chance.
Bam, they'd be in jail immediately.
Well, today's episode is different because Landen actually came up with the content today. I asked him, I said, listen, I need you to be my eyes and ears. Tell me what people want to know. So he did that.
That's why I'm the brains of the operation.
I would agree with that. Definitely the brains. And some of these questions are really good, genuinely the exact questions people keep sending us constantly. So it makes sense.
A lot of them are really, really heavy, really dark things. And some of these questions are really going to be really tough. But people really want to know these questions, including myself. I also want to know these questions. These answers, I should say, not questions.
Well, that's why we're going to be covering it today. One of the biggest public releases in relation to this happened in 2024 when thousands of pages connected to Epstein court records started getting unsealed.
A lot of the people who were called, conspiracy theorists started looking a little less crazy because people genuinely thought that this all dropped overnight. And it didn't. It's been years of court cases, talking to the FBI, flight logs, depositions, sealed records, accusations, and the victims definitely speaking out.
I'll tell you, we did Epstein the first time probably in 2022.
Yeah, I think it was late 21, honestly, when we started it.
Yeah, and then we've done it a few times since.
Yeah.
So we are part of that conspiracy theory group, but I'm pretty sure we got it all right.
I'm definitely sure. I wish we still had that notebook.
The Epstein notebook we had?
Yep.
Oh my God, me too.
We had pages and pages. We were looking into this stuff, and we were looking into some of the leaked files then, and we had a notebook that we were writing all kinds of stuff down in with connections and names, and
it got lost in one of our moves. Boo.
And we have no idea where it went. So there is a notebook floating around out there, even with Liz's visions in it.
Oh, that's true. If anyone finds it, let me know. They're probably like, where? Where do we look?
Everybody's going to be looking for this.
It can be in Trenton, Newfoundland, you name it.
It's somewhere in between. Be in the ocean.
Oh my God, it could be on the freaking ferry.
Right.
People are honestly finally understanding that this wasn't just an old creepy billionaire with an island. This is a network, a machine, a system.
Yeah, it was a well-oiled machine, and it still is, even though one of the head honchos is now gone.
I don't disagree with you. I still believe that there are children still being trafficked to this day through Epstein's network.
Definitely has to be, because nothing's being done. Nobody's going down.
Not a damn person.
The only person who did was Jeffrey, but that doesn't mean that it stops there.
He was fall guy. He was the one who was keeping score, keeping track, the one who had all of the evidence. He was the one that was like, we need to record this, that, and the other. And that made everyone else involved, his co-conspirators here, were all very nervous about him recording, but he was doing it intentional. He was telling them it was for like pleasure purposes only. Like, don't worry, we can, share this. We can remind each other of all those moments we had with these victims, essentially. The other guys were like, I don't know if I want that.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to wrap it up like a nice old Christmas present. Like, hey,
exactly.
These are mementos and memories that we're going to have. Epstein was very specific, and
right.
He purposely wanted to keep all this documentation, not only so that he wasn't the only one who was going to go down for this. Like you said, the fall guy, he was like, fuck that. I'm not going to be the fall guy. Information on me, I'm going to have some information on you. We're going to go down together.
Right. And I believe that Nod Dump was also very aware of him recording others. Nod Dump was like, you can record anyone but me. Let's keep this leverage. Like, he was all about that kind of life too.
Absolutely. But I still think Jeffrey still did.
Oh, yeah. He sure fucked
Absolutely. He didn't care. He was like, no, fuck you, buddy.
Oh,
Everybody's
yeah. No.
down.
That is why Epstein had to die.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why he had to die.
Right? So
Trump found out that he had lots of information on him, and he was like, you need to go.
The government handling parts of this has been absolutely infuriating.
Extremely, especially when a certain somebody, not dump, is in office. Because nothing gets done about it.
This was one of those pieces connected to it. Like, that's another reason why I believe this election was stolen one way or another, regardless of how you feel about the election and Kamala Harris and whatever the case may be. It was mandatory because he was supposed to spend 8 years there. He had 8 years of plans and deals he made, like really shitty bad ones.
Yep.
And then when he got out of office, he could no longer provide what he promised all these people. And it was like, do you want to be the next Epstein here?
You better figure
this fucking thing out.
Exactly.
And actually, Elon Musk's ex-wife or ex-girlfriend or whoever the hell she is, I can't even remember her name right now. Emily? Is it Emily something? Her name is actually Ashley St. Clair. And she is hella putting shit out there in relation to Elon specifically and everything she has evidence of and has witnessed. And I'll tell you, she's not going to be the only one doing this. We have this happening everywhere. So she's just one of the people just getting the ball rolling. Finally, like, continue to keep sharing, Ashley, because you have a lot of information and a lot that you owe the world. Also, she talked about the black MAGA hat, which gave me like chills. That's like, there's MAGA and then there's dark MAGA. And we've talked about this before too. Elon and Nod Dump, honest to God, should thank his lucky stars that he had Elon in that moment, because Elon pulled in his fan, because he has a strong fan base. I don't know why, but he just does. But honestly, speaking of Nod Dump, don't even get me started on him.
He is definitely one of the biggest cowards. There's many other names I have for him, but I will be very nice.
You'll restrain yourself today. You redact that information, but leave victims hanging out there for public consumption. It feels so calculated.
Extremely calculated, because it's like, why would you even need to redact stuff if you are innocent? You know what I'm saying? Like, you should, regardless if they're your friends or your family, unfortunately, you should leave that in there. The only reason you would be redacting information is if it was your name.
I believe that those names were heavily redacted for many reasons, but we'll get into that a little later. But of course, we all know they were protecting certain people while pretending to be transparent.
Yep, absolutely.
Epstein himself was a predator. He was calculated evil, a man who built an empire, exploiting vulnerable people while surrounding himself with money, power, celebrities, and political protection.
And the sick part is that he wasn't even hiding it at all.
No, he wasn't.
And you know, the one thing that bothers me the most, honestly, really, is that many people knew that something was going on and nobody did anything. And I think a lot of us are just starting to get really fucking tired of it.
Bill Gates, why the fuck didn't you say anything? Why didn't you help anyone? Why, when these victims came forward, you weren't like, yeah, that totally happened? Because you're hiding something.
Ding, ding, ding. Absolutely.
Everyone now suddenly wants to act shocked, like, oh my God, this happened? No way.
Right, when we all knew it was going on.
Even though we had a documentary on Netflix for years where they showed pictures of Nod Dump and Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and all these other people, even Fembot Dump.
Fembot.
Damage sustained.
I honestly think that one of the biggest things people need to remember in this case is that it didn't start yesterday. Jeffrey Epstein was first publicly accused and investigated years before the massive document release everyone started obsessing over online.
Exactly. Now, he was originally investigated in Florida in the mid-2000s after multiple underage girls came forward.
And instead of getting buried under a prison immediately like most people would.
Nope, he got one of the most ridiculous plea deals people have ever seen.
Insanity.
Now, in 2008, he pleaded guilty to state charges involving prostitution with minors and somehow ended up with this insanely cushy deal where he got work release privileges and barely served any actual jail time.
Doing the prostitution ring. Meanwhile, survivors are carrying trauma currently for the rest of their lives.
And that plea deal protected not only him, but also unnamed potential co-conspirators.
That part right there should make everyone uncomfortable.
Fucking right it should, because that's one of the reasons why people started believing this network had protection.
And then years later, more victims kept coming forward and it still wasn't enough.
More lawsuits, more accusations, more flight logs, and more connections. Surprise, surprise.
And people still tried to pretend this was all exaggerated. Like, what the fuck?
Up until 2019, when Epstein was finally arrested federally for the sex trafficking charges.
Suddenly, the world started paying attention.
Because now it wasn't just whispers anymore.
It was real.
Now comes the death in jail.
Mm-hmm. Death in jail. Suicide in jail.
Yeah.
Murder in jail.
Murder. And regardless of what people personally believe happened there, the public trust completely exploded after that. And I personally agree. I think it was murder, not suicide.
Especially because there was already so many suspicious failures around that night.
Like a broken camera, guards were asleep, paperwork issues, missing footage claims, transfer mistakes. Yeah, okay.
Honestly, people heard all of this and went, you expect us to believe this?
Right, well, they do expect them. You know, certain followers would.
Then Ghislaine Maxwell gets arrested in 2020 and convicted in 2021 for helping recruit and groom underage girls for Epstein.
I mean, which officially confirmed this wasn't a one-man operation already right there.
Thank you.
And a woman was literally convicted for helping run this system, which is also sickening.
So anyone still pretending that this was just a creepy rich guy acting alone is intentionally ignoring facts at this point.
And then now we start getting all the document releases.
Flight logs, depositions, court records, witness statements.
In 2024 especially caused massive public attention because thousands of pages tied to previously sealed court documents started becoming public.
And suddenly names people had spent years denying connected to started appearing publicly. Prince Andrew.
Now, obviously being named in documents doesn't automatically equal criminal guilt.
At least that's what they're telling us. But people absolutely have the right to ask questions.
And that's what made the public angry, because instead of full transparency, everything still feels controlled.
Exactly. Redactions everywhere. Certain details hidden. Certain information sealed. How convenient.
Right. And somehow victims still ended up more exposed than the most powerful people involved.
And that makes me so fucking livid.
Me too. These girls had their childhoods destroyed while these men have had years to relish over the fact that they were raping and trafficking young women and girls.
Absolutely. And they made these victims vulnerable. They can now become... Well, they are. People are contacting them for interviews here, there, and everywhere. But in addition to that, making them a fucking target.
It's fucking sick, honestly. It's fucking sick.
And don't even get me started on Nod Dump and just his sheer and utter guilt for not even saying a goddamn word about any of it.
Well, I expect that from a rapist.
I mean, you ain't lying. But you're telling me that gets heavily protected and hidden away?
While these poor victims, names, their stories is literally spread all over the internet, their families, their kids, their jobs, seeing all of this.
The priorities feel disgusting.
Absolutely disgusting. And people wonder why nobody trusts the government.
Absolutely. It keeps collapsing. This case exposed something ugly.
Definitely the rich get treated much differently, way better.
Oh, yeah. In every capacity. It's actually so gross. Honestly, the Hunger Games is quite literally our lives, and we're just finally seeing it after years and years and years.
Decades. It's crazy. The only sad thing is the survivors are now left trying to rebuild their lives while the public waits for the small scraps of truth we may get.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. And I think people feel that, which is why nobody can stop talking about this case. I mean, people that don't want to talk about it, there's a reason they don't want to talk about it.
Now let's get into the good things that happened since more Epstein file records were released.
Yes, more survivors and victims were publicly believed instead of mocked or dismissed. That was a change, so I'm happy about that.
Public awareness about trafficking, grooming, coercion, and abuse increased massively, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we need to get ahead of that and save our children. More people realize trafficking does not always look like stereotypical and can involve wealth, luxury, and power in social circles.
Greater public scrutiny towards elites, celebrities, politicians, and billionaires connected socially to Epstein, which should be happening because this is disgusting. If you are tied to him and you did something, you need to go down for it.
I don't disagree with you there.
More media attention returned to survivor stories instead of only focusing on Epstein himself, which is what we should be doing.
I agree. Increased public pressure from transparency regarding flight logs, sealed documents, associates, and institutional failures. And all of those things are still not being acknowledged at the same time. We're pretending that none of these things have happened. No accountability.
More people began discussing how grooming and manipulation psychologically trap victims, which is very true.
And survivors saw large waves of public support online, which is also beautiful.
More people learned about Maxwell's conviction and how the operation was not just a one-person crime.
She was the face. They needed the face to get the victims.
Right, you put Jeffrey or Nod Dump in front of somebody and is like, hey, do you want to come with me? No, most likely not.
They don't know how to talk to women, let alone groom them correctly.
Or even children, little kids. No little kid's going to go with a creepy old man.
Right, they're not doing the Ted Bundy style. They can't. They don't know how because they only think with their dicks, really.
Some victims reportedly felt validated after years of being called liars or crazy.
That makes me so mad. Yeah, we're starting to pay attention a little bit more. Even that Disney cruise situation that happened, although it's not Disney getting called out yet. But I do believe that this also is connected to Epstein.
Absolutely. Anything that is specifically designed for children is a breeding ground for that world.
Gingerbread house.
Now, the public became more educated on Epstein's plea deal history and how unusual it was for somebody to get something like that.
Absolutely. And more victims and witnesses feel safer coming forward because the public has shifted towards belief rather than disbelief. Only when it comes to this, though.
Online and podcast discussions kept the topic from disappearing from public attention.
And that concludes us. Woo, woo,
Absolutely. We're going to keep talking about it until we start seeing some actual justice and arrests.
Right. Now, here are some bad things that have happened since the Epstein files / records were released. Victims' names, as we know, their trauma and deeply personal stories spread heavily online again. And I even believe that there were like address related things too.
Yeah, they mentioned like their addresses. Palm Harbor, the other day, it was exactly that. Their addresses were released, their places of employment. One woman who is a teacher said her students saw it.
Unbelievable. Some survivors experienced being traumatized again from public attention and the internet speculation.
So sad. Huge waves of misinformation, fake lists, fake screenshots, and false accusation flooded social media.
Definitely. That was pretty bad. But I don't agree. I don't disagree. But then I also believe that some of those misinformation details that they may suggest is inaccurate, I believe to be accurate. We just have yet to find out.
The internet became more obsessed with celebrity gossip rather than victim healing.
That part is also true. Public trust in government institutions, law enforcement, and legal systems have declined even further.
Shocker. Many people felt powerful individuals still receive protection or a softer treatment, which I agree with that.
Increased paranoia and fear around trafficking networks, especially involving missing kids. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. You might be paranoid about it, but I'd rather be paranoid than part of it.
You know, the other sad thing is political groups on all sides have weaponized the case against opponents instead of centering the victims and giving them justice.
It's a good point. Anger has intensified between protecting wealth and protecting power over vulnerable people. It is time for us to get into the question part of things, guys.
The best part.
I'm ready when you are.
Okay, so let's start with probably the biggest question. How many victims do you actually think there are? Realistically, like, is there any known or unknown numbers?
Honest to God, for the entire network, because that's exactly what it is, I can kind of pinpoint it in a couple of categories here. I would say that there are at least 3,000 individuals from the USA that have been affected by this. I believe that there are close to 5,000 to 10,000 people in other countries as well. Yes, the US is probably the lower number overall because, unfortunately, stealing children from other countries is a hell of a lot easier.
Damn, that's just such a shame. Next question, and this one is kind of disturbing because people keep bringing it up online. Do you think the extreme rumors connected to this case have any truth to them at all?
And by extreme rumors, are we referencing
them eating babies?
Baby stuff, the abusing toddlers, children.
The mother birthing the baby and them eating the baby and saying it tastes like cheese while the mother was dying right there.
Okay, this is going to sound really kind of like fucked up, but basically kind of, you know how the UFOs are trying to crossbreed with us?
Yes.
Well, these billionaires and millionaires want to build an elite army of gold spoon mouth kind of people. And I believe that a lot of these children, mostly the boys, get to like grow up in some sort of prestigious home, whether there is an adoption, whatever the case may be, black market shit, I don't know. What else is happening is if a child came out physically disabled or ugly in their eyes, whatever the case may be, that's when they would eat the children.
Jesus, that is sick.
Right. But a lot of the girls that they're breeding are put right into the sex trafficking system as well.
No shock there. They're probably groomed and molested before and raped before they go off.
Yes, and I believe that to be true. Maybe he wasn't eating them himself, but he was definitely abusing children.
How deeply connected do you think powerful political figures actually were to the trafficking and abuse side of this operation?
Honestly, there has always been an element of political figures, including presidents and VPs from the past, that have also been engaged in the finer things in life, we'll call it, according to their standard. I believe that a lot of political figures are involved.
Do you think any of them, maybe somebody certain, are being protected?
All of them are being protected in some way, shape, or form, and a lot blackmailed too. I think that's another reason why Nod Dump has so much power, because remember how I told you a little earlier? Nod Dump told Epstein to make sure he obtained those videos and pictures and images and everything.
Absolutely.
Nod has a lot of that, has a lot of access to that. Epstein's one of the only people that has access to a lot of the Nod Dump stuff, although there are a few leaked.
Do you think anyone else important will ever actually go to prison for these crimes? Or are we looking at a situation where most people will walk away untouched?
I believe that because the victims are starting to come out more, like I keep seeing more online conversations taking place, the group chats getting bigger with the victims, them connecting to this person, that person, like they're trying to create an elite story, connect the dots kind of thing right now, including certain people like, for instance, Bill Gates. I'm going to keep talking about him for a minute because I think he's going to come up pretty significantly later. Like I see a victim stepping forward and saying, yeah, Bill Gates absolutely raped me. So
I wouldn't be shocked by that.
Right. But there's other people too, like previous presidents. Bush
There's
also.
two Bushes.
I would say both were involved. But Bush Sr. the kink didn't get to that level. The kink is at a very different level now.
Yeah, I'm sure back then when Bush Sr. was around, it was just straight sex, like rape.
Right. You look like a teenager, that's good enough. Gay sex, and like those were the kinks back then.
Yeah.
Now it's at a different level.
Yeah, now they're going way crazy.
Right.
Way crazier. Like the eating and the like selling and the dismembering of the bodies. Like
Right.
they're doing
exactly.
some crazy stuff. What about the victims? Like, do you think they're ever going to receive any real justice or even any sort of proper compensation for what happened to them? And, honestly, what does justice even look like after that level of trauma, the ones that have made it out?
For some reason, I've been feeling this for a while, but I keep seeing this house. It's kind of like a Ronald McDonald House vibe, but it's through the Epstein victims, which I think they're going to call it like the Virginia Giuffre Foundation or something. It's going to be something associated with women, made by women, and all of the victims involved in this can heal, have access, free healthcare, free assistance, free class action law, not class action, but a huge lawsuit against the government. And the government will have to pay a hefty fine to every survivor, including unnamed survivors as well.
As they should.
And in addition to that, there will be multiple people that are connected to political figures, celebrities, and they will be getting charged, and publicly.
Good. At least they'll get something. And I'm glad they'll have that house. And hopefully they'll get the trauma therapy that they deserve and the healing they deserve, trying to get some better life.
They absolutely will. There will be a few other really horrifying stories that come out. And it's going to be tough, difficult, but we're going to hear it all. And everyone's going to really be there for other people. It will turn into a very healing thing, but we got to get to the point of overturning not just the government, but the people in power.
Speaking of more stories, how many more victims do you think are still out there that haven't even spoken publicly yet? And do you think fear is what's stopping them from coming forward?
There's fear. People that have seen other people get killed. I know that there are a few girls along the way that have been disobedient or, spoke up and have been abused or killed, and really scary things. I honestly see Ghislaine Maxwell specifically. I think it was like a woman who, I think she was about 22 at this point. Now, when she was a victim of Epstein and Ghislaine's, she was much younger. She was like 16 or something. And she also had two younger sisters who also became part of this trafficking ring, unfortunately. And I believe that this 22-year-old watched one of her sisters get murdered and by Ghislaine Maxwell. Like, she took her to a beach and slit her up. Like, it's so fucked up. So there's a lot of fear, but in addition to fear, there is being paid off, hidden. There's people like that Sasha Riley person that also came out. That person specifically also is real and are telling their story from their perspective, went into the military. They changed their name. They give them a good life. Like, there's so many things. And then there's the kids that are being hidden too, like even the Epstein children.
Do you believe that this trafficking ring ever was fully shut down, which I do not believe that? Do you also think that there are pieces still operating quietly somewhere else?
All over the world. Everywhere. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's in space, because at this point, this network is connected to multiple countries. And there are some countries that have their own trafficking rings as well. For instance, I'll give you an example. Mexico. Mexico has its own trafficking ring. I do believe that Epstein was trying to get a deal with Mexico or something, and I feel like something along those lines fell through. There's so much involved there, so I think that that's also another element why, Not Dump heavily focuses on the immigration side of things, to say, oh, we can't trust them because they don't want to go into business with us on the baby network thing,
Right, exactly.
But I feel like the UK, I feel like there's Canada. I feel like there's other countries, Saudi Arabia being another extreme one. Saudi Arabia, like, they're trying to show us their lavish, beautiful elegance, but there's a lot of rights when it comes to women over there that are still wildly controlled. And they have that way because there are a lot of trafficking related things that if a woman gets control, we'll try to stop.
Sick. It's so sad. Like, I agree. I'm sure there's way more countries, obviously, pretty much probably almost every country almost involved.
Absolutely. Some element. But yeah, it's all over and it is completely active right now. It's active in the US, every part of the world. And I hate to say this, but as soon as Not Dump, I see that there was this online investigation happening when it comes to online predators specifically, including Bitcoin related things and all of that online coin stuff, trafficking, you name it. Everything was quiet. And then as soon as we started to find out that Not Dump was going to be the president, everything started to roll back in. Danger, 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 danger. Like, it's at a pretty bad point right now.
Now, this next question, honestly, probably one of the darkest. Now, do you believe there are still victims or anyone captive that is connected to the networks like this right now?
Absolutely. There are so many children, including Summer Wells. Summer Wells is a huge one for me. She is one of those kids that are connected to the Epstein trafficking ring. And I believe that she's been captured. I believe that there are so many children over the last 5 to 10 to 20 years that are and have been captured, still in the system, watching other
Madeleine
kids.
McCann?
Madeleine McCann, yes, her as well. She, I believe, I think that before the network got bigger, I think Epstein was trying to get another network. Like at that point, he was trying to connect them all. So like Madeleine McCann became like a high bid. Like they were like, we want her because she was so high profile. And I think the US was able to obtain her eventually. But yeah, she got sold off again though. There's a lot of like speculation that's a man in Portugal like took her, put him in his home, and there's going to be like a DNA thing that may come up, and that may be true. Something like that may come up, but I think that is all a lie. I think they're going to say it's Maddie, but it's not Maddie. But anyways, I just figured I'd put that out there.
Well, we'll see. Come here soon. The last big question.
Okay, what is it?
What do you think eventually happens to Maxwell?
Uh-oh.
Does she stay silent forever? Or do you think there is still information that she hasn't revealed and she's holding on to?
God, this is so complicated. There is like an underground, we're trying to get not dump out of office thing going on. And it's been going on for a while. I don't know when they're going to hit. They plan to hit and then something happens. They want to hit and then something happens. They have to do it at the correct time. And I don't necessarily mean him being dead, but some way, somehow, him being out of office. If he is taken out of office, and I don't even mean impeachment, like I see that this is like something that's never been done before kind of energy. So when that happens, if that happens, I believe that she will remain in prison. And I believe that all of the privileges she currently gets will be removed from her. And she will go effing crazy. But I think she'll start singing like a little birdie.
She should get them all taken away, but she should also sing like a little birdie.
Right. But here's the piece. If he continues to be in office and no one pulls him out, I feel like right at the very fucking like last day, there's like a pardon granted for her.
Of course there will be. Of course there will be. Well, that doesn't mean anything because I feel like the next president will throw her right back in there.
Fuck, I hope so.
Along with him.
Can you imagine? But yeah, I see that it is on his to-do list and he's playing his cards right because he doesn't want to rock the boat too much. Certain people he's already pulled out of prison, including the Chrisley people.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a Chrisley's parents, Todd and I forget his wife's name, Chrisley.
Whoever the fuck they are. The people that have some major fucking plastic surgery going on.
Todd does for sure.
He literally looks like Ken, like plastic. I get it's called plastic surgery, but shit, you should not look like you are a fucking Barbie doll.
That's what his goal is. I think he's secretly gay. I think they're in a lavender marriage.
I agree with you. I don't think he even wants to touch a vagina. I think he is all about the D.
I have no idea how he has all these children. But anyways, these were uncomfortable questions, but sometimes getting uncomfortable is necessary.
I know. It is uncomfortable, but also necessary. I don't disagree with you, but also like we need to be educated on this. Even if you're not someone who believes on the vision side of things, cool, put that aside, but we have to really genuinely point to the evidence and what the evidence is telling us. And we cannot cover our eyes anymore because it's absolutely a smoke show. They're protecting him so that he does not get out of office. We all know, every one of us, as we are all sitting here, even with the deposition that happened, we're sitting there. We're not, any of us are saying his name, but we're all alluding to it.
Exactly. We know that he was there. And a lot of people are fucking angry because we're literally talking about children being exploited while powerful people like him fly around on private jets pretending nothing's going on and he did nothing wrong and he just deserves to be doing whatever while these children are out there getting abused.
Absolutely. And even his daughter, I believe that one day after he passes on, if that thing touched me, I would be so fucked. In fact, I'd probably be on the side of a road in a fucking box. I wouldn't even be alive right now if that was my father.
I'd be dead. I'd be dead.
Exactly. And she will one day share her own, and I hate to say this, but it makes me sick to my stomach, but I believe that all of those children, his other boys, not Barron. He's the only one I don't think did anything, but we'll talk about him one day. But anyways, those boys, his sons, also hurt her as well. I don't know if she's going to share that piece of it because they're still going to be around, but oh my God.
Fucking sick. Sick, sick, sick.
But anyways, guys, that is everything for today. I am so glad we covered this episode again. If you guys have any more questions in relation to the Epstein files, in relation to victims, in relation to anything Epstein related, please drop them in the comment section and we will make another episode because we never want this fucking topic to go away until everyone has had justice.
And everyone who is involved is behind bars.
Honest to God.
Now, remember, guys, no matter what is happening out there,
it's us
against everything.